Hey YouTube, what's up? What's going on? It's Ashley Nicole with The Practical Life, and I'm here today with another live. I thought I wasn't gonna go live this early, but change of plans. I don't have that much time, but I really wanted to do this video because this is a mess. Okay. As you can tell by the title, this video is about Will Smith's apology to Chris Rock, and it's all fuzzy for me. That's what it was for me. Like, what you mean it's all fuzzy? I mean, it's kind of like let me start off with this. I'm a licensed therapist, but this video is strictly like my opinion based on the apology. It has nothing to do with anything about mental health or anything like that. It could be kind of reacted to in that way, but that would be a separate video. This video is simply just my reaction. All opinions are my own, and this is fair use for education or just reacting to information that's out there. But if you need to reach me related to mental health, it will all be in the description box on how to connect with me. But I wanted to give my reaction because when this happened, I had so many thoughts about this. Like, and I didn't make a video or anything, but I was like, I should have made a video. So some of this that I'll talk about may touch on that just a tad bit, but we're gonna go ahead and get started because I told you I don't have a lot of time. We're gonna get started with this apology. So he started, and I have my notes. Don't play, y'all already know, but he started with answering the question about why he had a question on the screen like, why didn't you apologize to Chris during the speech? And he was like, oh, it's just all fuzzy for me. What you mean? What you mean it's all fuzzy? It's not all fuzzy. You see, you all you gotta do is look at it online. It's not fuzzy. Like, I was like, you should have led if this video was to apologize to Chris, that's what you should have led with. You should have led with no question about what somebody asked you, why you didn't apologize during your speech. You should have said, "This is," and I agree and disagree with how he did the apology. Like, you embarrassed him, and did that in front of the world. So I feel like, okay, you need to apologize in front of the world, right? But then two, it's like based on the situation and knowing the background of his background and the background of Chris Rock, based on what we've read and seen and heard and all of that, right? It's like the apology should have been done in private. Now, he did say that he reached out to Chris Rock, but he said he wasn't ready to talk, which is fair. You know what I mean? So at least he did reach out. I'll give him that. But it's like, how many months is it later, Will? Like, it's like too little too late. This man has had to live with you doing that with him. And I understand, like, he probably, he getting backlash too, but it's like, come on now. You should have did this way before now, dude. Like, for real. Um, but he was like, it's all fuzzy. So I'm like, well, why didn't you lead with apologizing to this man? If this was an apology for him to in front of the world, right? Then number two, he said, this one got me too. He said he didn't realize how many people were hurt based on what he did. What? Now in the moment you probably wasn't thinking it, but afterwards, like, come on now. Then he said he apologized to his mom. He apologized to his brother because apparently Tony Rock was like one of his friends. Couldn't have been. Couldn't have been. I feel like it's a lot, and it probably is. It's a lot of stuff we don't know about that has going on behind the scenes. I mean, we've heard some of it with Chris Rock making other jokes about Jada, and stuff like that. But Chris Rock is a comedian, so to me, that's par for the course. Like he talk about everybody, you know what I mean? Like, or could potentially talk about anybody. So, like, what specifically happened that broke the camel's back for you related to Chris? Like, something happened behind the scenes that the public don't know about for you to go to the extreme. That's my opinion. But he apologized to the mom, his Chris Rock's mom. He apologized to Tony Rock because he's like, oh, that was my boy, that's my guy. Like, I probably can't repair that. And so I'll get to that though. So he apologized to Chris Rock's mom, Tony Rock. But what about them man kids? These kids, when they go on the internet and then they type in their dad's name, or when they go to school, when they trying to open a business or whatever they trying to do, somebody gonna ask them about when their dad got slapped. Why didn't you apologize to that man kids? That's ridiculous. Like, I don't even know as a daughter how I would feel looking at that TV and seeing my dad being slapped like that, and then having the my dad having the courage, the some emotional intelligence, and probably he was in shock, but really just not responding to it at the time. Like, they dad didn't do anything, right? So it's kind of like you can look at it either way. You can look at it like, oh man, why he didn't do nothing, or you can look at it like, oh man, he a stand up guy. Like he knew it wasn't the proper time. Like that's not the place or time to like fight this man, really. So, but his kids got to see that. His kids got to see that. Now his kids got to see him doing something like that. But I don't think the public would look at it like, and this is just my opinion, y'all, would look at it like, oh, Will's kids got to see that. You know what I mean? Like, it's so, because some people look at him taking up for his wife, you know what I'm saying, and think that it was okay that he did that. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard things where people are like, oh, he had it coming. Like, so it could be looked at both ways. So I'm particularly looking at the victim here. Like, his kids still have to see that years and years and years ahead. So he didn't even apologize to the man kids. Number 3, he said no part of him thinks that this is the way to behave when you feel disrespected or insulted. I'm like, well, did somebody tell you to say that? Because if you think that now, you thought that then. You knew that. You especially knew that based on where you was, based on where you were. And I'm sorry, y'all, in St. Louis coming out. when I get to talking in St. Louis come out, y'all gonna hear her, there, where, her. Yeah, you gonna hear it all. If you knew that, if you realize that now, then you knew that then. Based on where you were, where you was at, you knew you shouldn't have did that. You knew that. Like, come on now, Will. Like this, I'm like, you ain't think this one through. You should have just stayed at home. you should have said, you know what, it ain't the right time. Let me really, I've been getting my thoughts together this long. I need a little bit longer. I need a little bit longer to figure out what I'm gonna say, because I really want to be authentic. I really want to, say this in the right way. Like what you were saying, I just, I wouldn't, I wasn't feeling it. So then he said, number 4, so then he put up the question about, when somebody asked him, did Jada tell you to do this? Why did he start laughing? This ain't funny. Because we really think that. Now, don't get me wrong. Even if Jada had told him to do that, he's still a grown man. He have his own mind. And this is my thing too. This is the reason why I wanted to make the video when it happened. Nobody can make anybody think a certain way, do a certain thing. You're only in control of your own actions. However, in my opinion, if you married to somebody for 20 some years, it ain't no way, and I don't care what nobody say. Y'all can fight me in the comments. Y'all can say whatever, but it ain't no way that I wouldn't have tapped my husband. Because at 20 some years, you at that point where you can tap your husband because you know when he fuming, you know when some ain't getting ready to go right. You know when he feel a type of way because you know your husband. Now, maybe after 20 years, maybe you don't. I don't know. But me, if I heard that man say that based on whatever happened before we sat down right here, because if you go back and look at the pictures that they took and the interviews that they did before the show started or whatever, you could tell Jada was mad about something that day, baby. Can't nobody tell me different. Jada was mad about something that day. I don't know what they was arguing about. I don't know what happened, but you could tell she didn't really want to be there. She was looking like, yeah, let me just get through these interviews and this line or whatever and hurry up so we can go ahead and go home. And that's crazy too, because your husband was being honored that night and you went with that type of attitude. But that's a whole nother story. But you could tell based on those pictures and stuff that she wasn't feeling it. Like she didn't want no parts. It was almost like, and this is my opinion again, when you saw her, it was almost like she was, and I don't know if the right word is jealous, but she was kind of like she wasn't there for them asking Will questions about his accomplishments, kind of, if that makes any sense. Like, let me know, y'all, in the comments if y'all agree with me. Like, she wasn't really there for him being honored or him having the limelight that night. That's what it seemed like to me. That's what she was looking like. She looked like, y'all, okay, y'all can ask him something. I ain't trying to be here. I'm here just because I'm his wife. I'm supposed to be on his arm tonight, but don't ask me nothing. You don't dare ask me a thing, right? Or it could have been, they ain't about to ask me nothing. So he always in the limelight kind of thing. I don't know. And that's just the feeling that I got from those pictures and interviews they did. Look like she was mad about something. So anyway, we sit down and this man makes a joke, right? And then you see all you got to do based on again what happened before. All you got, or if nothing happened before, if somebody making a joke about you and your husband sitting right there and you glance at your husband and he look like he about to get up out that chair and you know how your husband roll, you should know after 20 some years, you should know how he getting ready to react. Girl, ain't no way that I wouldn't have tapped my husband and said, babe, don't even worry about it. I would have whispered to him something. I would have tapped him and said, just put your hand on his arm to kind of disarm him a little bit. Put your hand on his arm, babe. Don't even worry about it. It's cool. And your husband would have sat right there. But instead, you said, like, what you gonna do? You ain't hear him? And he got right on up. Now, she might not have told him to get up, but the way that she looked at him told him to get up. Now, maybe too, you might be in a marriage or relationship or whatever where you can't put your hand on your babe on his forearm and be like, babe, it's okay. Now, after that happened, you saw Tyler Perry. I forget who else kind of went up. Was it Denzel? went up to him, trying to talk to him. I would have went and got one of them. I would have said, y'all, I would have got myself up and I would have walked over to Tyler, somebody I know that can talk some sense into him because he ain't thinking right now. And I would have said, can y'all help me, get him? Because he about to go up there and make a fool out of himself. And Will and me and my husband deal with that conversation later about me getting up going to get somebody to help me get him. I wouldn't let my husband get up there. Ain't no way. He would have walked all that way from that seat all the way down that little thing up to that man. And I didn't try to do nothing. Now, could be too, she couldn't do anything, or you know what I'm saying? Could be, but I just, after 20 some years, I just don't see you not being able, knowing how your husband reacts to things, not being able to put your hand on his arm and say, babe, it don't even work. I ain't tripping, don't even worry about it. And then afterwards, have a conversation with Chris. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So he was laughing at the Jada question, and I'm like, Will, why are you laughing? It's not hilarious. He like, oh, Jada, she ain't tell me to do nothing. She what? So number 5. Now, he then, and this is what I feel like the video was for, right? But this could go 2 ways too. He then apologized to the other nominees. That's all fine and good, but this was supposed to be for Chris, I thought, right? And why you title the video "It's Been a Minute"? Nah, what is this video for, Will? Is it to apologize to Chris, or is it trying to redeem your name? Like in Hollywood, because people looking at you like you crazy. Why, if this was an apology to this man in front of the world, why are you apologizing to the nominees? That's separate. To me, in my opinion, that's separate. You could have called them. You could have went up to the academy doing business hours of however they do it, and you could have did your own apology to each one of them people. First of all, you didn't even have to wait all these months to apologize to them. You could have been apologized to them and said, you know what, I'm going to, well, nah, Chris deserved, the apology first, but just, if you finna do all this, you could have just said, okay, let me pull them to the side, whatever, this was supposed to be their moment and stuff like that. And then you had to think about what she was going to say to Chris. And then this was for Chris, but you didn't lump them all together. Will, no, I just ain't feeling it. Then number 6, this man said, y'all gotta forgive me because this threw me for a loop. He said disappointing people is his central trauma. It hurts him to think that he did not live up to people's impression of him. But Will, you've been in Hollywood all these years. You know how people perceive you. It can't be that. Because if it was, you wouldn't have got up out that seat. You almost making me think like you were having a moment, like you were disassociated with where you were or who you were in that moment. Like you was blacked out. Like that's the way because if you knew that, like if you really feel that, because there are some people who, like, and I can see like in Hollywood, they probably do get to that point because people always watching you. So you trying to make sure, okay, I can't do this. I gotta make sure I'm on my, cross my T's and dot my I's and stuff like that. And maybe that's the straw that broke the camel's back. Like this is your shiny moment in Hollywood, and it's like, okay, you've been striving to get to that particular moment, and now it's like whatever. But that just don't make sense to me. Let me know what y'all think in the comments for real. But he said it hurts him to think that he did not live up to people's impression of him. But if you really cared about that, you would have never gotten up from that seat. You might have been fuming inside. You might have even waited until it was break and went backstage and slapped that man, right? Or you may have gotten up and left because you were so angry about what just happened. But you took it up on yourself, and it wasn't like Chris was standing next to him. It's like, for me, you got up and you had a little ways to walk. During that time, did nothing click and say, you know what? I better go back and sit my butt down. Like, this ain't it. Did nothing click in your head to say, this is not how to handle, this is not the way to handle this. Especially because we've never really seen, I've never seen or heard him react in such a way, not even being like, he seems like the perception of him is that he's like positive and motivating, based on, it sounds like he turned his pain into purpose, right? Because he has some past trauma and stuff like that. So that's why I'm like, it's two things: either something was happening that the public doesn't know about behind closed doors between him and Chris, and or him and Jada, and he, if something was happening between him and Jada before that the show started, it's almost like he was projecting what he was feeling on somebody else, but he really felt that about Jada, which could be, right? But again, it took you a while to get up to the man, and you ain't think, you know what, let me sit down because I'm really mad at Jada right now, and thinking this in your head, let me just sit down. This ain't, I don't really like him like that for real, but he ain't got nothing to do with what I'm tripping about. You know what I mean? So I didn't really believe it. Number 7, he said he was trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of himself. Now, this is where I'm like, okay, you know, I kind of feel from a little bit, because you did make a huge mistake. And it's like, you can't take it back. It's going to live on the interwebs forever. You know, this is what you will be associated with now. And but is it like, are you trying to be remorseful because of the backlash that you received, or are you really trying to take accountability for what you did, right? But then if he is a person that always tries to live up to the impression or perception that people have of him, then he probably does feel some type of shame, or, and this goes into the mental health, right? Some type of shame, or, you know, just feeling like a bad person all the time and not able to get out of that, because people going to continue to remind you of what you did. You know, that's the first thing people think about now when they think about Will Smith, when he slapped that man. And then number 8, he closed that video. This one I said, Will, go back to the drawing board. Cause you tripping for real. This one I said, you should have stayed at home because you wasn't ready. He said, y'all gotta forgive me. He said, if you hang on, we'll be friends again. Who? The public or Chris? It don't sound like him and Chris were friends at all, ever. Because he took it up on himself to point out that Tony Rock was his guy, right? And I feel like if him and Chris were on good terms, or, you know, whatever, Hollywood friends or whatever, he would have probably said that, like, you know, we were friends before, you know, this, I don't know what came over me, blah, blah, blah. But it's like he didn't say that. So I speculate that him and Chris, they were never friends or anything like that. But he said, if you hang on, we'll be friends again. Who you talking to, Tony? Because first of all, now he popular in Hollywood. I feel like Will at the end of his career, basically, like he probably gonna do a few more movies, but I don't know who really looking to go to the movie. First of all, who going to the movies like that? Now I don't know, because the movie theater that in my town, baby, it be popping. I said, These people at the movies with the panorama, whatever they calling it, it ain't over yet. I'm weary of that. But who going to the movies to see Will new movie like that? Like we waiting on him to do some movies? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But he said we gonna be we gonna be friends again. Will, no. Mm-mm. No, Will. No, no, no. This is it. This is it. You you close that door. Ain't it? Now you might be able to win over some people because in the comments people say, "Oh yeah, we forgive you, forgive you." That's how in one of my other videos I talked about people getting scammed and duped. I see this stuff on the internet all the time, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I cannot be scammed and duped, but it's certain things that you can look at and you can hear and you can see, and you can pretty much be like, that don't sound right. That don't sound right to me. That don't look right. That's a scam. So with some people in the comments, they said, "Oh, we gonna forgive you, we forgive you, we forgive you." Y'all getting duped. Y'all letting Will dupe y'all. This is like manipulation because you trying to get in good back in Hollywood, trying to get your little movies and stuff like that. I don't know about this, Will. I felt the type of way about him after what he did, but now it's like even worse. Because you really fixed your mouth to say that at the end of this video. And then, because I took it up on myself to look at everything for the video, y'all. In the description box, he said, "Thanks, y'all." What? It just seemed disingenuous. Like, it wasn't, it wasn't genuine to me. It was like, let me get up on her because it's been too long. The people asking me, did Jada tell me to do it? They asked me why I apologize to the man. And let me just get up on her and tell these people something. Forgive me, but it's just like, is this a joke? No wonder why Chris said, I ain't ready. He ain't ready because you ain't ready. That's why Chris ain't ready to talk to you. Because he know you ain't ready. And that man, Chris, like, I feel like the spotlight needs to be put on him more than Will. Like, we need to make sure that Chris is okay because Chris has had a lot of trauma. If y'all go back and y'all look at some interviews that man did, like, this threw him for a loop. Like, I was like, is anybody checking on Chris? Like, based on his past, he ain't doing well. He not doing well. Like, how this man supposed to go and do shows? Because now people associate him with a person that was slapped on national TV and he didn't do nothing as a man. And it's sad to say, I mean, that's what people gonna think. So when he do his shows and all that, what the hecklers and stuff gonna say? Because I mean, he can make jokes all day long, but that's entertainment. What happens when Lauren said when it fades to black? What happened when it faded to black? What happened to Chris? And you sitting up here playing months later talking about, oh, it's been a minute. Yeah. It's been too long. It's been too long. So that's just my opinion, y'all. But I might come back later and talk more about how I feel about that situation with Jada trying to prevent him from going up on stage because it's like a lot of things to unravel there, but or a lot of things to unpack. But let me know what you all think on the replay. Leave me a comment. If you have any questions for me regarding mental health or anything about careers, shoot me an email or get in contact with me. All the things will be in the description box. Until the next time, I will talk to y'all later, and I appreciate you for watching. Bye.